Download this code from codegive.com, link in the description below. Keycloak is an open-source identity and access management solution that supports various authentication flows as defined in the OpenID Connect and OAuth 2.0 specifications. One common use case is the client credentials flow, which is designed for machine-to-machine, M2M, communication. In this flow, a client application can authenticate itself to obtain an access token, which it can then use to access protected resources. Here's a step-by-step tutorial on how to implement the client credentials flow using Keycloak, along with a code example. Prerequisites. 1. Keycloak server. Make sure you have Keycloak installed and running. You can download it from the Keycloak website, https://www.keycloak.org/downloads. 2. Client application. You can use any programming language to implement the client credentials flow. In this tutorial, we'll use Python with the requests library. Step 1. Create a realm in Keycloak. 1. Log into the Keycloak admin console. 2. Click on Add Realm and provide a name for your realm, example Miriam. Step 2. Create a client. 1. In your realm, navigate to the Clients section. 2. Click on Create and enter the following details. Client ID, My Client. Client Protocol, OpenID Connect. Access Type, Confidential. 3. Click Save. Step 3. Configure client credentials. 1. After saving, you'll be taken to the client settings page. To note the client secret, you'll need it later. 3. Scroll down to the Settings tab and ensure that Service Accounts Enabled is set to On. 4. Under Valid Redirect URIs, you can leave it empty for a backend service. Step 4. Create a user and assign roles, optional. You may want to create a user and assign roles for testing purposes, but for the client credentials flow, the client itself doesn't need a user. Step 5. Configure client scopes, optional. If you have specific scopes for your application, configure them in the Client Scopes section. For basic access, you may skip this step. Step 6. Obtain an access token. Now that you have set up your Keycloak server, you can request an access token using the client credentials flow. Example code. Here's an example of how to obtain an access token using Python with the requests library. Step 7. Use the access token. Once you have the access token, you can use it to access protected resources. Here's how you can make an authenticated request with the access token. Conclusion. In this tutorial, you learned how to set up Keycloak for the client credentials flow and how to implement it in a Python application. This flow is useful for backend services that need to authenticate without user interaction. Make sure to handle tokens securely and refresh them as needed, depending on your application's requirements.